Eric Muathe at Muathe.com for October 24th, 2017. Market's been open for about, let's call it about 8 minutes. We are trading here at all-time intraday highs for the Dow, and I believe also close to intraday highs for the other markets, but for sure we are looking at the Dow, which is trading at all-time intraday highs. Now I want to show you a theme that's been going on over the last couple of weeks. And we can see this theme if we begin here with the Dow Transports, where we see that the markets were making a higher high in price, but this came at the expense of the technicals, making a negative divergence. In other words, the technicals did not follow through, so that is losing some type of strength. And we can see right now as the market gaps up, looks like it could be another trap in my opinion, because we are still coming back to test the top side of this line. So here could be a problem if the Dow Transports, for example, is unable to move above this line. Resistance here might suggest that we are still within a pullback. And if we take a look at the other markets, and by the way, if we go back to the Dow, there's very good reason why we've been exploding in price. Now let's go to the monthly first. This acceleration of the RSI, remember the RSI is a measure of strength. That's why it's called the relative strength indicator, relative strength index. Again, a measure of strength, and you can see that once it moved above 69.1 on the monthly towards late 2016, pretty much the market has been picking up momentum. Now this is a characteristic of what happens when a stock stays above 69.1. That is strength on the monthly, strength on the weekly, as we've been observing. Most recently we can see that once we moved back above 69.1, coinciding with a price breakout here, that breakout, we can see that the effect of this RSI holding above 69.1 has been a market that has been sideways to outright bullish. In fact, it only makes sense that it is going on this parabolic run because of the strength above 69.1. And even on this chart, we can see good examples. Movement above 69.1 until it moved back below here. So throughout this period where it was above 69.1 on the weekly, that is the strength. Again, another example. You move back above 69.1, you have this strong uptrend until you move back below the 69.1 threshold. Now that's the weekly for the Dow. You take a look at the daily, and the daily has been above 69.1 pretty much throughout the month of October 2017. This is why we go on this parabolic run as long as it stays above 69.1. We take a look at the hourly, and you can see the hourly has been above 69.1 for pretty much most of the last 2-3 weeks. Here it went back above it. That is why we see this price pickup. Now if we take a look at the 30-minute chart for the Dow, now this is where I start seeing early signs of a problem. We just made an intraday high, but seems like we are making a lower high on the RSI. We take a look at the market right now, been trading for 12 minutes, and we are off the highs. As of right now, you can see the Dow is no longer up about 190, and that's where I was saying it looked like, in my opinion, that this was a trap. It's something to end the nice parabolic move as it traps people here. Now we can also see that if we take a look at the Dow from a 5-minute window, so a 5-minute window here, you can see there's a line connecting RSI topside. At the highs of the day, we've come to hit here early in the morning, so that might also be another instant of negative divergence, suggesting that it could easily pull back. Also, looks like it is being rejected when trying to move above the 69.1 threshold here. Looks like it is being rejected. It went above 69.1 and back below it with uniform action. Another thing we've noticed here as we began the week, we can take a look at the NASDAQ. As of right now, the NASDAQ is showing uniform activity rejection at the 69.1 on the weekly, which might suggest that this is the initial sign that some markets are poised to pull back, which means we can add more weight to the idea that the Dow is due for a pullback. Keep in mind, if you take a look at the NASDAQ hourly, this move here, this push to intraday highs for the NASDAQ came on declining technical strength. And if you recall, I made a couple of videos here and here where the market was making higher highs, intraday all-time highs, but the RSI was failing to hold above 61.8. And the thinking there was that this was more than likely going to lead to a pullback. We already got the pullback, but now the question is, are we going to get more downside? Well, if we're going to get more downside, the first order of business is the market is going to have to break the RSI lows line. So there's a line connecting the RSI lows on the hourly. For the market to truly start trading lower, this line would have to break. So based on how the Dow is going to respond, remember the Dow is the strongest because if you take a look at the weekly for the NASDAQ is not holding above 69.1. We take a look at the SPX, S&P 500 is above 69.1, so it is stronger than the NASDAQ. And of course, we know that the Dow is the strongest because the Dow is the highest in terms of its RSI on the weekly, as an example. So the Dow has the highest RSI on the weekly, so the Dow is the strongest. The RSI for the Dow is at 81. That's a sign of strength. S&P 500 has its RSI at 73, and we saw that the NASDAQ has its RSI trading at 67. So the NASDAQ is the one we can look for more potential for downside because the NASDAQ is already the weakest of the major averages in the US. So as we begin this morning with the markets at all-time intraday highs for the Dow, don't be surprised to see a sudden change in sentiment and the market starts pulling back, maybe even a strong reversal intraday because of the way the intra or the smaller time frame charts are shaping up. So to me, looks like we are still showing the signs of a tired market, even though it is giving the picture of price advance internally. The technicals are not confirming the strength. Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. I'll keep you posted. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. ERC. And so it is. Mwah. Ooh, yeah.